Hello and welcome to this period where our morning meditation is exploring compassion, one of the great human capacities of caring for self and others that is kind of integral, I think, to our ability to contribute to the welfare and happiness of our world. And it's a wonderful thing that we can celebrate and appreciate our capacity for compassion. And part of learning, developing our compassion, because it can be developed, to simply assume you're supposed to have compassion and the level of compassion, the mixture of compassion and other reactions we have can make it very difficult to be with the suffering of the world, suffering of others. And so to learn about ourselves, to develop a capacity for a kind of clean, beautiful form of care is the task of meditation and cultivation of compassion. And one of the key elements of this is to combine mindfulness with compassion, to have compassion arise out of a strong foundation in mindfulness, and to have our compassion for others based on a wise and caring and clear understanding of our own suffering. To avoid our own suffering, to have compassion for others, to think that our suffering doesn't count, we're supposed to just focus on others, limits how full and useful our compassion can be for others. We need to understand our own suffering. Buddhist practice kind of depends on our ability to really stop, be still, be non-reactive, be willing to stop and really see our own suffering. We don't necessarily have to understand it, but we have to feel it and recognize it's there and learn how to hold it caringly, learn how to hold it openly, in a certain kind of willingness to feel and be present and accompany our own suffering. And that will be the skill that we learn to do that for others. So, to begin with a simple practice of mindfulness, to be mindful now of your body, just as it is without moving, to feel and sense what your body is like at this moment, the position it's in. Maybe you're already in your meditation posture, maybe you're getting ready to do so. Mindfulness often begins with mindfulness of the body, and that can begin with mindfulness of your posture. And is there a posture you can assume? Some way to adjust your posture, whether you're lying down, sitting, standing, even walking. The 4 dignified postures, they're called. To have your body posture be a posture of attention, a posture of being alert in your body, as if your body wakes up. So a little bit of intentional posture. Adjusting your shoulders, your small of your back. Maybe the shoulders can roll back. Maybe the chest can be a little bit more open. Maybe if you Slowly let your attention travel up your spine from the base, one vertebrae at a time. You can adjust the spine slightly so the whole spine maybe feels like it's participating in the meditation, a little bit more alert, awake. And to soften the belly. And how is it that softening the belly, even briefly, what kind of attention, awareness does that place in your belly? If on the exhale you relax your shoulders, how does that shift and change the sensitivity and awareness in the area of your shoulders? And as you exhale, to soften and relax the face. And what happens? What changing sensitivity appears in the face as you soften around the eyes, the jaws, the cheeks? Maybe there's a way of relaxing the hands and the arms. When we hold tension in our body, a little bit like we're resisting the pull of gravity, to relax the arms and elbows, hands. Does it make us a little more sensitive to the gentle pull, gravity inviting us to relax more? On the inhale, having a as wide as possible awareness of your body, broad, panoramic. And as you exhale, relaxing the body, softening the whole body. And then centering yourself on your breathing. Aware of how the exhale is a kind of release, a letting go. Parts of the exhale is a relaxing. A relaxing into a deeper sensitivity, sensing the body breathing. feeling whatever softness, gentleness there might be with breathing. Maybe on the edges of the opposite. Maybe in the heart of it. Mindfulness can have a simplicity to it, a bit of stillness or spaciousness. Mindfulness of breathing, simple, a kind of stillness, gentle stillness, softness of attending to breathing. And then with the same stillness and simplicity, softness, let your awareness open to the thinking mind. Feeling that tension, energy, pressure that might be there. Sometimes thinking is an expression of a deeper level of stress, tension, suffering that we carry. And don't try to fix anything, but see if the soft, still mindfulness can be aware of the underlying stress or tension, suffering that might be part of thinking. Hold it simply so you can know it better, more familiar, not to analyze or figure anything out, but the simplest, most immediate aspect. Breathing with any underlying tension or suffering, so you're accompanying it, knowing it, as if simple knowing and accompaniment is all that is needed. And in your heart, in your emotional life, maybe you're calm and peaceful. And if so, take time feeling the goodness, the healthiness of whatever is good, meditating. And if you carry any suffering or stress, tension, sadness or anger or disappointment or some form of emotional suffering, hold that caringly, hold that with mindfulness, the warmth of mindfulness that neither tries to change nor hold on, but simply holds and feels and senses even the mildest forms of suffering. Maybe breathing gently accompanying the suffering. And one of the advantages, one of the possibilities of feeling one's own suffering mindfully, carefully, calmly, is that then it might awaken our compassion, our care, kindness, and to meet the suffering with kindness, compassion, care, to care about our suffering and wish ourselves well without expectation or demand. Simply share with your own heart that you care, you wish to be free of that suffering, where that wish is part of a gentle, warm-hearted goodness. Of course, that's what you want. And to keep it very simple, nothing needs to be done, nothing needs to be figured out. Just appreciating the quietest, simplest compassion of our own suffering. And then giving yourself back to your breathing. Giving yourself over to your breathing, the breathing body. Following the exhale to deep inside where the exhale ends. And maybe where the inhale begins, so that your breathing is a connection to a deep wellspring within. A wellspring of kindness and clarity, deep sensitivity. From which we can gaze upon the world, bringing to mind the people in your life, in the area where you live, and out across the lands. Undoubtedly many people who suffer. And to gaze upon this suffering world with a softness, a stillness that allows the compassion and care, the kindness to be uncomplicated. For care and compassion to be free from the need to do and respond, free of shoulds and judgments and whys. Simple care, simple compassion. Where something deep within you maybe is represented by these wishes. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings know they're not alone in their suffering. We'll accompany them. Do our best to know them. May all beings know how to have compassion for themselves. May they hold themselves dearly and lovingly. May they not lose hope in themselves. May they not lose their ability for self-care. May all beings be safe so that their own heart and inner life can heal what is broken, heal what hurts. May all beings be peaceful, so there's space for their own goodness to come out, to support others, their family and community. May all beings be free of oppression and poverty and war. And may each of us hold the suffering in the world in a simple, compassionate care. May all beings be free of suffering. Thank you. So, my friends, welcome to our continued discussion about compassion. And as we did earlier in the year, we been talking about metta, loving kindness, goodwill. Both loving kindness and compassion are helped, supported by learning how to cultivate it or have it towards oneself. The more that we can have kindness and goodwill towards ourselves, the easier it is to have it for others. We know what it's like. We know what the benefits of it. And the same thing with compassion. It becomes more important for us to have a wise, caring relationship to our own suffering. And in fact, learning about our own suffering and being mindful of it in such a way that we're not troubled by it, we're not consumed by it, we're not avoiding it, we're not stressed by our own suffering. But we understand it, we know how to be with it. Helps us to then be with others and understand others in their suffering situation without our distress around their suffering interfering with our ability to be present. So understanding ourselves well kind of helps us to be able to be present for others so that it's not a complicated presence. We don't feel distressed or angry or despairing or sad in such a way that the simplicity of our kindness and care, where we simply are there to be with other people without tripping over ourselves, without projecting our own challenges onto them or onto the situation. It's so important. And so to learn this simplicity of mindfulness of our own suffering, to learn to be present for our own suffering without needing to fix it, without needing to change it, to discover not the end of our suffering in learning compassion, but to learn how the ending of our reactivity to compassion, our reactions to it, our for and against it, our calls to arms around our suffering, our shame around it, or embarrassment, or disappointment, discouragement, even feelings of helplessness, hopelessness. There's many things we add on top of it. And it's such a radical thing to learn to be present for our own distress, our own difficulties, with simplicity, radical simplicity, where it's almost as if it's okay for it to be there. We allow it to be here for a time, maybe with a higher calling, that if we can learn how to be with our own suffering, both learn the nature of it, become familiar with it, learn what it's like to be non-reactive to it, and hold it simply and softly and openly with their stillness of mindfulness, that then we can be present for others without adding all those things that complicates our relationship to other people. And for me, the representative image of a kind of simple, compassionate care for others is to go for a walk in the park with a friend, where we're simply there to accompany our friend, to hear them talk about their challenges, to kind of show that we're paying attention, we're listening deeply, to ask simple questions, to not be there to fix the person, our friend, or do anything, but to simply be present, to listen well and carefully, and and to accompany them. And how profound that can be for people. Some people will experience accompanying and listening like that as a form of compassion, as a form of love. And to learn that ability by first learning to be with our own suffering, our own attention. And one of the benefits of this is that compassion can be a natural movement, naturally arising in contact with suffering, provided the contact is uncomplicated by all this reactivity we can have, uncomplicated by fear, by worry, by anxiety, what it means and what's happening. And of course, there can be fear and anxiety, but the idea is to keep stepping back, keep opening up to such a point where now you can just be there in a simple, uncomplicated way to the messiness, the chaos of it all. And that gives room for compassion to be there. And I think one of the really great gifts of human life, of certainly Buddhist practice, is to prepare the ground in ourselves through practice to feel the naturalness of compassion, the natural arising of it. That it's not something we have to do, not something we have to cultivate anymore. It's just something that arises in such a wonderful way that it's without fear, without anger, without distress. And and it also makes our compassion for others easier, because we don't have to immediately solve it or fix it or rush to kind of make it all better. That maybe comes later, that we can do something, that we can act on it. After all, karuna, the Buddhist word for compassion, it comes from the root word of to do, to act. So there's an important part of compassion is the action to alleviate suffering, to make a difference. But sometimes we want to first be able to listen. The primary act first is listen, to sense, to witness what it is, and to appreciate how witnessing is so profound itself. And then to see, after we learn, we know, we understand what's going on, to then maybe we have a better position to support people, or maybe to be able to ask them, what can I do for you? How could I be of support? Rather than rushing to our conclusions that what it's all about, what needs to happen, what I have to do, what I have to fix, but to give people their agency and autonomy by asking them, what is your wish? What would you like me to do here? So mindfulness of our own suffering. And this, of course, is kind of one of the fundamental things about mindfulness and Buddhist practice in general. And many people sooner or later learn how important it is, that we can't keep avoiding it. We have to really stop and take a really good look at it and be present for it. And learn the art, learn the capacity to be present for suffering without adding more suffering on top of it. To be present with suffering, to see it and hold it and let go of the reactivity to it. And in a certain kind of way that maybe is more said for emphasis than you take too seriously. But so what we're learning is we're learning to suffer better. not suffer more, not suffer so that we keep suffering. That's what life is about. But suffer better means to be present for our suffering in a better way, that we don't add more suffering to the suffering. We don't react. We don't give up. We don't feel ourselves being being kind of depleted or diminished or shut down by our suffering. But to suffer better is to suffer more simply, more in a more relaxed way, a more open way, with mindfulness, with clarity. And one of the advantages with that in Buddhist practice is that there's a strong instinct for people to want to solve their suffering. Whereas with mindfulness practice, the suffering sometimes dissolves. So with a friend, with other people, if you're having a one-on-one relationship with someone, that you're going for a walk in the park with them who are suffering, your first instinct might be to figure out what to do to make them better and solve their suffering. But there too, if you listen really well and just spend time with them and give them a chance to explain themselves and get it off their chest in a sense, something might soften and dissolve in their heart that makes the whole thing easier for them. So not to be caught in the idea of solving. There are other ways, especially when it's one-on-one and direct and personal. If it's systemic, if it's institutional, if it's kind of, culturally wide, the suffering, of course that's not going to dissolve it by how we attend to it. But by attending to our suffering with wider cultural or societal suffering and challenges, we can learn how not to add unnecessary secondary and tertiary stress, reactivity to our feeling of the pain of the world, and simply be able to feel that pain simply. And maybe it won't dissolve and go away. Maybe it shouldn't go away when there's suffering in the world. But maybe by learning to hold it quietly, peacefully, that we'll see a way to respond that's personal, our own way. That we can, something we can do. That might be our gift to these times in this place. So learning about compassion, understanding it better, and giving ourselves time to not rush to what we think is a compassionate action, but give us time to be mindful of it all very deeply, including our own suffering, so that we can be aware of the suffering of the world in a wise, deeper, and effective way. And I hope that all of us will find the blessing, will find the gift of how important it is and valuable it is, and in a certain kind of way rewarding it is, to be able to open to the suffering of the world with karuna, the Buddhist forms of compassion. So, thank you all. We'll continue tomorrow.